There's a place in America where you can literally see tomorrow with your own eyes. Metaphorically. Tomorrow. Every single day. A grandmother once opened her front door every morning, looked across the water, and could see her own family. Close enough to wave. Close enough to know they were there. Too far to ever touch them again. But she never saw them again. Because somebody, thousands of miles away, drew a line on a map. It separates America from Russia, just 2 miles apart. And it split one family forever. Deep in the Bering Strait, between Alaska and Siberia, there are 2 small islands. Big Diomede, Little Diomede, just 3.8 kilometers apart. Close enough to see smoke rising from the other island's chimneys. Close enough that on a clear day you can watch people walking on the opposite shore. For thousands of years, nobody cared which side was American and which side was Russian. Because there was no such thing. There were just people. The Inupiat. One community. One language. One family. Spread across 2 islands like it was nothing. They crossed the ice to visit relatives. They hunted together. They married across the strait like it was just the neighborhood. Then, in 1867, something happened thousands of miles away that would tear this community apart forever. Russia sold Alaska to the United States for just $7.2 million. Nobody in Washington or St. Petersburg was thinking about 2 rocky islands in the middle of nowhere. But when they drew the line on the map, they drew it directly between Big Diomede and Little Diomede. One island became Russian. One island became American. And for almost a century, nobody on either island really noticed. Families kept visiting, kept crossing, kept living like the border was just an idea on a piece of paper somewhere far away. Then came 1948. The Cold War was starting. And suddenly, this forgotten border in the middle of the Bering Strait became one of the most sensitive military lines on the entire planet. The Soviet Union made a decision. Every single person living on Big Diomede, the Russian island, would be removed. Not asked. Removed. Soldiers arrived. Families were given almost no time to gather their things. Grandparents, children, entire households that had lived on that island for generations, loaded onto boats and relocated to the Siberian mainland. The island where their ancestors were buried, the island where they were born, emptied in days. And on Little Diomede, just 2 miles away, families watched it happen. Watched their relatives disappear from the opposite shore. Watched the boats leave. Watched the island that used to have smoke rising from its chimneys go completely silent. No phone calls, no letters, no way to know if the people they loved were even alive. Just 2 miles of water and an invisible wall that might as well have been 1,000. They started calling it the Ice Curtain, a smaller, colder cousin of the Iron Curtain that was dividing Europe at the exact same time. Except this one didn't divide countries. It divided a single family. Grandmothers who could see their grandchildren's island from their kitchen window, but couldn't send them a single word. Children who grew up hearing stories about cousins they would never meet. An entire community cut in half by a line that was drawn by people who had never even set foot there. Here's the detail that makes this place almost impossible to believe. The border between the 2 islands doesn't just separate 2 countries, it separates 2 days. The international date line runs directly through the gap between them. Big Diomede is almost a full day ahead of Little Diomede. Locals gave the islands nicknames because of it. Big Diomede, Tomorrow Island. Little Diomede, Yesterday Island. Which means, if you stand on Little Diomede and look across the water, you're not just looking at another country, you're looking at tomorrow. A woman on Little Diomede once described it as looking at a photograph that hadn't been taken yet. For decades, the silence continued. No visits, no contact, no way for a mother to know if her son on the other island was even still alive. Then, in 1987, something happened that nobody expected. An American swimmer named Lynn Cox decided to swim across the strait, from Little Diomede to Big Diomede, 2 miles of freezing Arctic water. She wasn't just swimming between two islands. She was swimming between two superpowers at the exact height of Cold War tension. When she reached the other side, something remarkable happened. Both leaders, Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev, publicly congratulated her. For a few minutes, 2 miles of water became the most hopeful place on Earth. But the swim didn't undo what had already been lost. The families that were separated in 1948 mostly never reunited. Some elders passed away still waiting for letters that never came. Children who were toddlers when the boats left grew old on opposite sides of a border they never chose. Today, only around 100 people still live on Little Diomede. Big Diomede has no civilian population left at all. Just a military outpost, watching the same stretch of water that used to be full of boats crossing between cousins. Here's what makes this place so strange. It's not just that America and Russia are 2 miles apart. It's that this 2-mile gap holds an entire human story that most people will never hear. A community that existed before either country did. A family torn apart not by war, not by choice, but by a line drawn on a map thousands of miles away. People who can still see each other's islands every single day. And still can't cross. The closest distance between two of the most powerful countries on Earth isn't guarded by armies or checkpoints, it's guarded by water. Just 2 miles of it. Close enough to see. Far enough to lose everything. Some borders separate countries. This one separated a family. And it still does today. Subscribe. Because the strangest borders in the world aren't the ones on the map. They're the ones between people.